So, hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today, I will make a very nice exercise for many of you who want to improve at chess. I will explain to you what happened during my last Title Tuesday. So, it was the second one of the day. I didn't play chess for a week or 2 weeks, something like that. So, it's pretty difficult when you make a break to become good at chess. And now I will show you how to actually play against stronger players, how to actually handle the pressure of being afraid to lose. So stay tuned, stay until the end, and subscribe. So it's a game that I played against Alexander Gelman, and it's funny because I know an Alexander Gelman, which is a producer and basically an artist from I think I don't know, 1950s, 60s, 70s, and I felt like it was the same guy, but of course it's not, because one guy is 30 and the other one is probably not alive anymore. Anyway, so we played this structure and somehow castles bishop e7. Here what's very funny is that I did not play against many players that go for such a setup against me, but this is something very normal. I know the structure with the pawn on d5. It's not that I don't know it, it's just that I have more experience, against that. So I played c4 and he played castle. And somehow I decided to play extremely fast, and once he played a6, I realized, oh, let's just play a Sicilian with d4 and without the pawn on e4. So I played d4, cd, knight takes, and after d6 I played e4. And now it's actually a very strange Sicilian, since I have the bishop on g2 and he more or less has a hedgehog structure. And this is actually not so clear, and this is why I do not play e4. It's because I tend to have problems against some hedgehog structures. When I play e4, you would usually see me play with isolated pawns, some Panov or some more gambits. But yeah, and now this is pretty funny because I know that I'm not worse. I mean, I understand his position at least a little, but the problem is I don't have a lot of experience here, but he does. And this is where the things become difficult because I'm not particularly familiar with that position. I don't have a lot of practice and therefore I don't have a lot of experience. But he does. And this is where at some higher level, when no one is committing any more tactical mistakes, this is where the difference can be felt. For those of you who know my game against Abasov that I played at the Title Tuesday, I analyzed this game already. The video is how to beat a grandmaster, or what it takes to basically be a grandmaster and beat them. I was completely winning after 20 moves against Abasov. I completely destroyed this guy, but not because I'm stronger, but because I had more experience in the position that we had together. And now it's actually the opposite. He played queen c7, and this is where I realized that, oh, I can't play b3, which is the move that I like to play bishop b2, because I might face some tactical problems with b5. Now, if I had calculated a little bit longer, I would have found e5, or at the very least, I would have seen e5. I probably would still have to calculate what happens if takes, etc., etc. But, still, this is something that if you are familiar with that, if you're familiar with playing unknown positions, you would actually have this reflex to be looking for another move and yet another move and another move. And I did not do that because I felt overwhelmed by the fact that I don't know this position that much. Do you notice what is the mistake that I did now in the thinking process? I just didn't think. I saw b5 and I stopped there, which is wrong. For a classical game, it's pretty simple. But for blitz game, nah, not so much. So queen e2, knight bd7. The engine doesn't like this move, by the way. It says, actually I played this position pretty well when I look at the engine now. So basically, I played bishop e3, and after knight e5, I played b3, followed by h3 and f4. My opponent just brought some pieces into the game, me too. And now I'm just better. After knight g6, I am just better here. And I knew that I was better here. I blundered in that position strategically, tactically. I mean, I have 3 minutes on the clock, so I do blunder when I have like 10 seconds on the clock, but not when I have 2 minutes 50. Let's be serious with increment. The problem is, I knew that I was better, but I thought that I had something very concrete. Of course, when you have more time on the clock, it's a lot easier to not get overwhelmed by things like that. But yeah, I got a little bit greedy and cocky. I thought that I was better and my opponent was just a piece of crap, which is true, because this is something that I say. Everything under the top 100 in the world is basically crap, let's be honest about that. But yeah, I played f5, which is completely wrong. I will show you what I had to do. The engine says you're better, improve your position as much as you can, and at some point black will commit a mistake. Here, for example, a move that I should have gone for is a4 just to stop b5, so just improve and expand on the queen side. Then my opponent would have gone for, I don't know, let's say queen a8 or rook f or rook e8 exactly. Now slowly but surely queen f2, just improving the structure, improving on this diagonal. And at some point, I should be able to have something because my opponent won't be able to move something. This is something that's pretty, I don't want to say it's simple, but I know that I have the level to identify this type of advantages in a long game. And I mean, that is why I'm 2100. It's because I know how to use this type of positions in classical games. But now in Blitz, I was very far away from understanding that. It's a Blitz game. I thought let's just play practical and active moves. So f5. It's not losing, but it's just that I'm giving back the e5 square, which I of course understood. But I thought, yeah, I can just take. He takes, and he has some bad pawns. And this was my first idea. Then when we got there after 95, I realized, oh, but wait, actually, am I sure that I want to do something like that? It doesn't feel like I can do anything. And at the same time, the king side opens. Now I don't really feel better, and I saw the move a4 at this point, but I felt like I well, I don't know. It felt not right. So I decided to go bishop g5 with the idea to eventually take, and then I will have some active pressure over here. He went h6, and I went bishop f4 because, of course, taking. Now this is not good, but my idea was to go bishop f4, and now when I will be taking, of course, if he takes, then I'm just better. I mean, I have the d5 square. I can just take back with whatever I want. And now when I will take, the d6 square will become weak. So it does make some sense. Rook f e8, and now I took, and I felt like I'm the king of the jungle. But the problem is it's not that simple to use that. I went king h1 because I didn't want to face any problems on this diagonal. And the engine says here that the position is equal. So I did understand this position pretty well, especially for blitz game, but it's not enough. King h1, and now he played knight f7, which the engine doesn't like. Um, I don't know what the engine wants. The engine wants, yeah, rook f8, simple, or queen c7. Yeah, very logical move. So knight f7 makes sense. It's also threatening e5. It's a good blitz move. I played knight f3 because I felt the pressure of e5, but I thought, okay, if now he goes e5, then I just move my bishop and I have the d5 square. This is exactly what happened. He went e5. Here I was pretty sure that g5 or knight e5 was again the best move, or probably even something like that, just to take and then play d5 and eventually open some lines. Eventually, e5, bishop e3, b5, and now I knew that I was better once again, but I couldn't bring up a nice move here. I did something extremely wrong, and I understood, like, this is something that I teach to my students, and if you're one of my students, you would actually hear that quite a lot. But there is a move that you decide with calculation, and there are moves. I mean, you have to verify all your moves with calculation, but sometimes you don't understand the value of a move with calculation. And here, the move that I did is exactly the problem here. I took on b5, which is, of course, completely wrong. This is bad, not because I'm losing on the spot, even though I am losing on the spot, but even if you play the move that he played in the game, which is AB, here he has a winning tactic. He has rook c3, I take back, and bishop b5. And I did not see that, but somehow I saw that, and I knew that this idea exists, but I couldn't really put myself, to understand how bad it actually was. Here the engine, yeah, it's completely equal. Yeah. It's 94 first. All right. Yeah, now it's actually a problem because now he's actually up a pawn, and yeah, and this is now the problem. All right, so I missed an easy tactic. But let's just say there is no 94 because even if you play the move that he played in the game, which is AB, the problem is there is a potential open diagonal now. With the pawn on c4, it wasn't the case. So I understood that, but I undervalued that. Play king h2, and I forgot that there is b4, followed by bishop b5, and I lose an exchange. And now it's only a matter of technique, and he just destroyed me very accurately. The rook is always stronger than the two pieces when there are pawns on both sides of the board. Now, of course, it's lost. And okay, we won't analyze this position anymore. All right, let's go to the second game, because now the second game is actually very, very interesting. So, okay, it's not a problem. So it's against Andrei Skvortsov. So when I play a game and I see that someone has the same title that I have, of course I don't see the ratings during the game because I play in Zen mode. But I see the title, I see the thing, I see the face and the logo of my opponent, and I think, okay, this guy's dead. I would just destroy this guy. But the thing is, I know Andrei Slovortsov because I tried many, many, many times to play chess tournaments in Montenegro, and I've seen this guy's name many, many, many times, so I knew that this guy exists. I didn't see the rating, by the way, because I never see the ratings. So now f3, e6, g3, b5. And b5 is a very nice idea. The idea is that if you go d5, there might be sometimes moves like c4, so b5 stops that. And also it's taking some space advantage on the queen side. I play bishop g2, bishop d7, castles. I'm not here to analyze very, very accurately, but let's put it that way. I played some games OTB in some other move orders like d5, castles, knight f6, a4, b4. I'm sorry, d4, bishop e7, a4, b4, like takes, knight bd2, and okay, now the analyzes go on and on and on. Yeah, but okay, I won't analyze too much. Basically, I know that this position be alright. a4, b4, c4, and if he takes en passant like he did, knight takes e3, and now I will just play e4, and I have a strong center. He went knight g6, I played queen c2, just to play e4. After bishop e7, e4, and I knew that this is already a success for me because the reason why I play Title Tuesdays isn't to prove, that I can beat Magnus or whatsoever. I play the Title Tuesdays just to uh, take the initiative right in the opening, build myself a solid position because I know that in a classical game I will blunder tactically 1,000 times less than in the blitz game. So I don't really care if I win or lose. What really matters to me is how I deal with the openings. He played castles, and now I just played a5 because I wanted to take some more space and eventually give myself some pawn marches, etc. And also, if I play a6, the bishop will almost get trapped, and I really like taking space advantages. a6, rook e1, c5, and after c5, I saw a nice tactical idea which probably doesn't work, and probably in a classical game I would have gone for the same move. The engine probably gives, yeah, exactly. The engine gives the move that I wanted to play in a classical game, which is takes, knight takes, and e5. And I'm probably not e5. I wanted e5. The engine says this first. Bishop b2, rook d1, e5. All right. So I basically got the right idea. In a classical game, I would probably have gone for something like that. But here I saw an idea which probably doesn't work out well, but I like that. It's d5. The reason why I like this move is the following. First, I liked this imbalance with knight takes, 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 rook takes e7, takes knight g5, and I'm threatening mate and the bishop. If you go g6, I take, and I have two pieces for the rook. But the problem is there might be some queen e1, bishop f1, and after g6, I'm not winning anything. And this is the first thing that I saw, and then I thought, oh, all right, let's just go knight g5 immediately. If bishop takes there, you move the knight. Now I'm down a pawn, but I do think that I have a lot of compensations here. This pawn is a very bad one. This pawn is still a weakness, and for a blitz game, it's pretty interesting. Queen d3 or queen c4, b3, queen f5. I do have a lot of viable moves. Yeah, the engine says completely fine after takes rook d1. Yeah, that makes sense. Just this pawn is weak. Even though he got the good knight, somehow I do think that my bishop is worth more than this knight. The engine says, oh yeah, I'm sorry, there's f4. I already missed f4. But like, let's say knight f6, bishop, I don't know, c4, I would guess, or bishop g2. Okay, I'm not here to calculate now, but I mean, hopefully you get my point. I just felt there is something. I felt so I went so. All right, he went rook e8. He trusted me. Never do that, especially not in blitz. Bishop f4, not f8. Queen d2, just defending the pawn, making sure. And also now, if he had gone for the stake once again, knight g5 was the same idea. So knight f8, queen d2. Now I'm defending the pawn, and I have more space in the center. Also, this bishop is absolutely terrible. If this bishop was on g7, the game wouldn't be the same, but now it's on e7. All right, knight g6. I went bishop e3. Probably I should have allowed taking there, but I'm a human being. Queen d7, h3, and now there is nothing special. I'm just moving back and forth, trying to create some weaknesses, trying to just, maneuver with my pieces. I have more space, so I do like maneuvering when I have more pieces. Knight e8, h4. taking some space, eventually giving me some moves in the future. H6, bishop e3, knight e5, knight a4. I'm just planting my pieces, towards the nice squares. Yeah, and now notice, more space on the queen side allows me to have more crazy moves. Knight f6, rook f4, queen g6, knight f3, and somehow all my pieces are now playing on the king side. I have only one piece left on the queen side, but it does quite a good job defending the d5 pawn. Um, Probably this knight is pretty passive, but I don't really need it for the moment, so I'm pretty lucky on this one. Knight g4, bishop f1, just remaneuvering my pieces. My bishop was pretty bad on this diagonal. Queen b1, and now he missed a very nice move, which is king g2. And my idea is to trap the queen, and he just missed this tactical idea, rook a4, and I'm just winning the queen on the spot. I mean, I can't. Okay, now it's only a matter of practice, and winning positions is not it's not simple at all. It takes quite a lot of experience. Now I just found the good squares with my pieces, just slowly but surely defending, improving, etc., etc. And now at some point we got to this position where I have my a pawn, the king is weak, and I'm winning the bishop. If he goes bishop f7, I have bishop g6, and here he resigned. And then I found out that I won against Andrei Slovortsov, which is good. I like that. 60 moves. It was a pretty nice game. A lot of maneuvering. The engine, I will just see what the engine says. Probably the engine doesn't like this position. But who cares, actually? It was a pretty nice game. Yeah, I played actually near perfect. I like that. Yeah, I played with 95.9 accuracy because I did some mistakes here. Yeah, rook f4 wasn't the most accurate one. Here the engine wanted queen there. I don't really get this move, but okay. All right, and yeah, and now knight f3 was a mistake. Here I had a nice move, which was queen d1. Yeah, queen d1, simple way to take the advantage. All right, this was my only mistake. All right, and now I played with the black pieces, and this is something that happens very often in Blitz for me. So we played basically. So I played against Patrick Chelewski, and we know each other. I don't know if he remembers me, but who cares? I played once a chess tournament in 2022 at Racibórz in Poland. I think it's near Cracovia. And I remember that we played a chess tournament. I played only 2 rounds, then I had to go back to France. Something, very bad story, but all right. Basically, I was in a room with 2 players, Mateusz Bernardzki. I don't know if you are friends, but we know each other, so it's pretty decent. And Łukasz Kasprzak. So this is a friend of mine who doesn't play chess anymore, but he was pretty good. I think he could definitely get CM or FM title. Yeah, and we went together to this chess tournament, and then near, the next room, basically we were in a room, which was like an internat, such a room for students who couldn't hear. And we were there, and the room next to ours was a room full of FIDE masters, IMs, and things like that. And Patrick Chelewski is basically international master who couldn't get this last norm, or I don't know exactly, to get the international master title. And I think that he fought and played chess tournaments for 4 or 5 years just to get the last norm, but he finally got it. And he plays pretty good. Okay, I wrote to him and he didn't remember me, so it's all right. And we basically play this Slav structure when I'm already better out of the opening. And the reason why I'm better is because I will be able to play, e5 at some point, then strike against the f4. I'm sorry, the c5 pawn. He went f4 and he did something wrong. The engine wants me to play the move. So I played g5, by the way. The engine wants me to play e6, bishop e7 first, and then g5. But okay, I played g5, he played g3, and here I knew that I was completely better. I went knight g4. The engine doesn't like that. It wants me to take first, but we will go back into what happened. Queen c2, and now I took on f4 with the idea to just, now the pawn structure looks miserable. e6, b4, bishop e7, and bishop h4. The king can't castle anymore, and I'm better because I have more space in the center. f5 first or knight f2 doesn't change anything, but now the engine says it changes a lot, which is not true. Yeah, knight f6. And after h3, I went for this maneuver where I just completely destroy the king. And I have more space, I have great pieces, and even though he has the bishop pair, this is not a good bishop at all. This is bad. And I mean, I'm just better here. It's simple to feel. And he had made a mistake. I made a mistake which loses the initiative for blitz game. It is long castle. And I saw the move g5, but I felt like, okay, if I want to do something on the king's side, I need this a8 rook. So I decided to go long castles. And the engine says, after queen g7, which was my idea, I'm still better if I play bishop f2, which I saw, and I thought that he would have to trade, go rook g2, and I felt like, I'm sorry, rook g7, and we would like trade, but I should be better on the king side. And I mean, it's simple to feel when you play the game. Eventually, if there is something concrete to calculate, and in between all that, you can just miss that. But okay. I went long castles first, bishop f3, rook g8, and at some point I decided to just harass the king. The king becomes extremely weak, queen h5, and here I made a tactical mistake. I had e5 that I completely overlooked. It's a simple move. And the problem is oopsie. The problem is I knew here, yeah, I knew here when he played bishop d2 that I should have some e5, and if pawn takes, I felt like I could have something. And I played queen d7 somehow to play e5, but I overlooked the fact that the bishop is hanging. So, like, I had all the right ideas, and in the classical game, you find the ideas, or at the very least, you find them and you calculate them properly. But here, I forgot. So queen d5, queen e2, and now g5. And I'm just better. I'm just definitely better, even though I was inaccurate. I played bishop f6, which is wrong. The engine wants me to go f4 with the idea that if you take, I have e3 and I should win. Wait, is it this? Or is it right now? No, it's not here. Ah, yeah, now bishop f6. Yeah, and I might get some e3. Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, now you see what's my problem. I'm just trying to analyze like that on the spot without the engine, and when I just come up with the moves, I have all the right ideas, but I do not take the time to calculate them, so I eventually miss the points, And this is something that happens to me in Blitz. And okay, now here I know that I'm a lot better. Here f4 once again, I miss f4. Here f4 once again, I missed f4. I played a4. He went queen c2. Here again f4. I missed it again. Rook e8 here again f4. I missed it once again. Here f4. Oh no, it takes followed by f4. I missed it once again. And okay, now we play this endgame, and here I take an advantage if I play e5, and then simple game. The king can't come in, and if he tries to trade off, then I think that I might be faster over here, that he might be over there. I'm not pretty sure. Yeah, if you go bishop c3, hopefully I don't trade. Yeah, no, I don't trade. Bishop g3. And this pawn doesn't march forward. If you try to support the pawn, then I would just have my pawns here. I think, yeah, I mean, I can also just take. Yeah, it's very strange. It's a very funny position. But the reason why I should be better is because there is this quarter of the pawn, and my king is in the quarter. So I will always be there to support the pawn. And that is the whole reason why I'm better. And now I just blundered, and he played a lot better. Here I had one last chance to be better. It was this move, and if he takes this, I'm in time to stop the pawn. Like this, and I push, and I'm winning. But I missed that. I had 5 seconds on the clock, so now it's normal that I lost. And okay, now here resigns. All right. This game was actually a nice game. So we played a structure. I mean, I know that I'm better. I mean, I would just play rook c1, 95, and crush my opponent. She's born, I think, in 2012. Some Instagram jokes would just say expired, but okay, let's just not say anything like that right now. Here, I'm better because the pawn is isolated, and now, when you are strategically better, or when I am strategically better, I know how to use that very perfectly. Until now, it's the tactic. I played knight f7, which is right, but bishop f7 wins a lot faster. Basically, the problem that I had is the following. If rook takes, knight takes, I mean, I go takes, and I'm up in exchange. And if you take like that, rook takes, and I win. So, yes, and I decided to go knight f7 because I don't know, but it doesn't, it's not wrong. I mean, knight e5, rook takes, rook d8, rook takes gf. Here I knew that I was better because of e3, followed by rook c1, and if you go rook b3 like in the game, here a6 says the engine, but okay, who cares? It's still winning. I mean, it's the same idea. I would just go hunt the pawn and put my rook behind the pawns and win. And now it's only technique. So this is where you realize that you're good in blitz. When you have a good conversion technique, even though you don't have a lot of time on the clock. Here, by the way, King G2, and it will almost fall 3 times in a 3 times repetition. So I had to give the check. Some clarity is also always needed in blitz. And now, when I do the same, it's not the same position, so I don't care. And now I will just slowly but surely trade off the pawns. And now this is a very simple win. I just have to push my pawns. Yes, and now here I ended up pushing the pawns. I finally found a way to rotate with my king, lose the tempo, and now this pattern is important. Now there is no rook check. If the rook was on f1, he had check, and I couldn't. Okay, let's say this rook check, and I couldn't do that because I lose the pawn and it's a draw. So yeah, and basically now the rook is on f2, so it's all right. Okay, rook f1, rook g7, and now this wins because I push f7, and even if the rook gets the pawn, then I don't care, I just promote. And this is what you need to become good at blitz. You have to be able to convert winning positions more or less simple, more or less in a simple way. Anasta, this game is the same. I mean, I was winning due to a tactic. Yes, and now this is the most important game. But I think that for this game, I will actually analyze that in a future upload. So stay tuned for the second part. See you in the future.